raise funds in addition for our village amenities.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments on that?
So the second.
Sorry? We've got a second. Yeah.
Sorry.
Caroline,
Do we have any idea how many things we need to use this person for and what sort of hours this will take of their time?
well,
Just generally.
I think fundamentally I agree that it would be really nice to have somebody on the staff team to look into grant funding, even though I think most grants go to charities and not to parish councils. We are limited in the number of grants that we can apply for, but I do agree that we have that expertise. I think the process to do that would be, first of all, to approach a member of staff, the member of staff who has been identified as taking the training, and ask that member of staff if they're interested in doing it, and then talk to that member of staff's line manager, i.e. the clerk, about the change in the job description of the events manager, because that would mean a change in job description. Because my experience of grant applications, it's a long and tortuous process, and it takes a lot of hours. And I think the hours that at the moment that Emma does as events manager is well above what she's paid for. I think she puts a lot of time and effort into the events side of it. So I don't think in her job, in the hours she's got at the moment, looking at what she does, I don't think there's a capacity in her job. She would have to change her job spec. If she was approached and she was interested, and the process of going through her line manager and then getting that approved by full parish council has been followed, then sure we can re-look at that. But I think as the proposal stands, I'd have to vote against it, because you'd be asking somebody to take on extra responsibilities that they're not paid to do at the moment. So, sorry, Councillor.
I mean, I agree, and I would certainly not be able to vote for support it in its current form, because there's, and the reasons you've mentioned, do we have capacity within the existing team? Is there any member of staff? What would be the increase in costs? You know, if a person has to if it would take increased hours, and there's none of that included in this proposal. There's no sort of no information behind it, and if we vote for it, we don't know. We've got no information about what we're committing ourselves to beyond that. So I won't be able to vote for the motion. I support what you said, Joe.
Sorry, Andy.
Well, if I could counter that and say, can we afford not to get funding? You know, if there was funding out there available for us, there clearly is, because other parish councils get it for buildings and all sorts of things. Yeah. Can we afford not to get that and expect the parishioners to pay? You know, it might take occasionally a few more hours because there's a project worth bidding for, but lots of charities pay people to do these bids because they gain a lot more from it than it costs them. They can be, any charity would do it, and any other parish council that does it will do it because they get a return on investment. Can we afford not to get that?
I think
Sorry.
I think most of us would be totally in favour of having someone who can do big applications for us. The problem with it is the member of staff hasn't been approached to see if that's something that she would be happy to actually proceed with. So the normal process would be to have a chat with your manager, wouldn't it, to discuss your job actually changing into something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I think we need to
Councillor
start
Hall.
In order to make a rational decision, I need to know how much we're spending it, how much time this would take, how much that would cost, and whether that would involve employment for more hours, which I presume isn't in the budget for the year that we've approved anyway. So we need actual figures to compare to know whether it's worth doing or not.
Yeah. Okay.
I would just say that I did think the job was described as a projects and events manager, not just an events manager. So therefore I thought the capacity was there to manage projects.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously I can't speak on behalf of them, but sorry, Stephen.
We do have to start somewhere, though.
Yeah, I think the starting point, you're right, we have to start somewhere. The starting point has to be to ask the member of staff if they want to do it, if they're interested in doing it, if that is actually covered by her job description. I think that's the way to do it. And if you bring this forward at another time and that process has been followed, I'm sure it'll get supported. You know, if she's willing and keen to do it and we can afford to do it, and it seems to be viable, increasing her hours and changing her job description, then we can have a discussion.
Surely before offering that, we ought to approve that we would fund it. Should it be something, you can't offer a staff member something and say, would you like this? And then, oh no, but we won't fund it for you. That's the wrong way around. This proposal surely actually says we would agree to fund it.
Yeah.
How much?
Can we not
It's there,
Propose
587.
properly an amendment, but could we not, if we're all agreeing with it in principle, just amend it to say, receive a proposal, blah blah blah, that Ackworth Parish Council explore training for a member of the staff team in bid writing. So we're saying we agree with it in principle. We need to make that decision for the process to start. So we can agree, I think,
In principle.
that the parish council would explore training for the staff team. Because then as well it leaves sort of the clerk to make a decision about her own team
Yeah.
in which member of staff.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I amend the amendment?
Sorry?
I would amend the amendment. I would have said in principle, subject to explore the training, but also costing. Because I wouldn't make a decision for my business unless I could say, this costs me that much, this will cost me that much. They've got career progression there, so they won't pay that much. They used to do that for 30 hours at the time, and I just wouldn't approve it, even in principle, unless that was part of that principle.
So, yeah, okay, so we've got an amendment. I mean, would you accept that as part of your... Do you want to put into words what your amendment would be then?
Which one was your
So,
It would literally just be, well, the thing I would do is just change the word fund to explore, so it read, the Ackworth Parish Council explore training for the staff team, for a member of the staff team in bid writing, so that we have a staff member capable of obtaining grants and funding for community capital projects. So all the amendment, we'd just be committing to exploring it. So everything could come into that. How much it costs, which member of staff would be happy to do it.
Who would be exploring that?
yeah.
That's what I'd ask, whether it, as obviously clerk, would it be me exploring that, or would it be the proposer?
Well, sorry.
I would say if we approve Nathan's amendment, it would be a clerk's job to do.
Clerk, okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's
fine, just
how I would
clear on the
interpret it.
action.
Yeah. To see what the capacity is
Yeah,
within the
capacity
team,
and
within the
costs.
staff team.
Yeah.
So, are
So
we...
I'll note that amendment.
Are you happy to accept the amendment? Do we have to have a vote on it, or
Yes, I think so.
are you happy to accept that as an amendment? So have you got that?
I'm just taking a minute, Chair, just to
Yeah.
put it down properly. So we're saying that remove the word fund, change it to explore, remove the word project and events manager and change that to a staff member,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Karen, what was the words that you used?
And the financial viability of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So the amended proposal. Are you still wanting to... Can I have a second for the amended
If
proposal?
Susie seconds, then it doesn't have to go to a vote, Chair. And Susie, was you seconding that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So we have to go to a vote on that then.
the amendment's gone, yeah, so it's
Yeah,
an
so
overall vote now.
All those in favour then?
So we're voting on the amended proposal now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Second motion requested by Councillor to receive two-part proposal from Councillor Sherratt. The Ackworth Parish Council set up two further deposit accounts. The first for the community infrastructure levy funds and the second for the management fees set aside for strata from residents so that they are held separately to the current deposit account. And the second part is Councillor Sherratt proposed that Ackworth Parish Council will consider and decide what happens with the interest on the monies in the SIL deposit account and the management reserve deposit account if opened. Okay, Susie, do you want to?
Thank you. The
CIL monies that we've received in respect of new development in the village are obviously unnecessarily funds which must be spent on community infrastructure projects as and when they're agreed, planned and executed. Until then, till now, the monies are held on deposit along with the Parish Council General Reserve funds. And we do, of course, have an account, sort of a balance sheet reflecting what's going in and out that Gemma really efficiently keeps. But when we look at the funds, it screens the balance of general reserves and makes it unclear as to the true figure available. And as CIL funds, or CIL funds, are well over 100,000, it may create confusion on, looking as to the true balance available. Also, CIL monies are capital funds, not those available for monthly running costs or earmarked project funds, and it would be advantageous if they were held in a separate account from reserves for both clarity and transparency. And then any interest accruing to those CIL monies on that money that's being held in the deposit account in a separate account could be added to the capital projects it's being spent on, rather than swallowed up in general reserves. And there's also the strata estate management fee received from the residents there currently stands at something over 45,000. That's been collected from residents for maintenance of the site they all inhabit. And obviously with delays to completion, this is up in the air. However, what's absolutely clear is that this money doesn't belong to Ackworth Parish Council as such. It's held in trust for strata residents by the council, and as such to me it's something like a solicitor's or accountant's client deposit account, which should be held separately from the monies that are definitely our reserves. So again, we can be quite clear of the balance that's presently available in our general reserves, and clearly any interest accruing to these funds would be more easily and transparently dealt with, as they'll be simply paid into that deposit account and should remain with those funds accruing from strata residents for the management costs of their estate communal areas. So that it's to give a bit more clarity and transparency to the monies that we hold and what they're for. So I'd like to suggest that they're each put into a separate deposit account.
Okay, thank you. Have we got a second for
Chair. Can I just add something for context for the council, just in support of Susie's, but that will support council's decision on Susie's. Is that okay? I know it's unusual for the clerk to go first. I just want to highlight that last week we were audited, our internal audit was completed, and both CIL and the management fee and how the funds are kept was audited, and it was passed because they're two different things. The Realtors reporting shows the finances separately, but the bank accounts are held collectively. Interest is a slightly different area. But what I would just like to say, as part of that audit, council obviously haven't seen the full feedback because it will come in June. But one of the recommendations from the auditor is that we do review our bank accounts, and they have recommended that whilst we have done the right thing to date, they have recommended to build on what we've got in place, a two-step authorisation process of the bank accounts for payments. Our current bank provider doesn't offer that facility, so off of the back of the audit report that we get in June, we will have to look at opening bank accounts with another bank supplier. And if a decision is made on Councillor Sherritt's proposal, there's the potential that we will risk contradicting what needs to happen with the auditor. So it's just information for the group to consider.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So would you suggest that we could defer this to a later
So I personally would recommend that it's deferred, Susie, until the June meeting when you have the full audit report and you can see the recommendation of made on bank account, because it may be at that point the two are holistically together that you can review the recommendations from the auditor from last week and the opening of the new bank accounts and how that structure of the new bank accounts will be set up.
Are you happy with that?
Yes.
So we'll defer that until June or July.
You receive the reports in June. I can re-add this at the June meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so we move on to the item 18, which is the Public Bodies Admissions Meeting Act. That the press and the public be excluded from the remainder of the meeting on the grounds that publicity will be prejudicial to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted. So, thank you all very much for your attendance.